Welcome to Six Figure Coaches with Luke Charlton, where every week we interview a successful coach and break down their business. We take you behind the scenes in their marketing, advertising, and sales campaigns. We show you what's working. We show you their frameworks, their proven strategies, so you can implement them in your business to grow. Now let's bring on this week's guest. Here is your host, Luke Charlton. Hey, this is Luke Charlton here, and welcome back to another episode of the Six Figure Coaches Show. Very excited to have you here. We've got actually two amazing guests for you today. They are brothers. They are twins with an amazing track record working with health and fitness coaches, which I'll get into in just a second. And we're going to dive into their business and how they've become so successful helping other health and fitness coaches. But just before we do, remember, these episodes we premiere inside the Hermit Hole. So if you go to thehermithole.com, every single week on a Tuesday, they premiere. And what that means is you get access to these interviews and the gold nuggets within them, all the marketing and sales tips from the experts that we bring in, all the other top, because this podcast is all about bringing in the top 1% of coaches so that you can learn from them, so that you can become successful in your own business as well. You can model their strategies, their techniques, their tactics. And so if you want to get access to those gold nuggets first before they go onto Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, so the podcast audio platforms, then come into the Hermit Hole. That's thehermithole.com. Okay, so with that being said, I'm super excited to bring on my guest today. As I said, they are brothers. They're actually twins. They're international best-selling authors. They worked with over 700 health and fitness coaches to grow their business. And also, they've told me to tell you that they've got very gigantic eyebrows, and they're very proud of those eyebrows. So let's bring them on, and we can check out their eyebrows and dive into their businesses. Hey guys, how you going? Chris and Eric Martinez, welcome to the Six Figure Coaches Show. Super excited to have you guys here. So the way they like to kick off these interviews is just to give the coaches listening a bit of your background. Like, how did you get into, where did your story start? And then how did you get to the level of success where you're at today, helping other health coaches and fitness professionals?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having us. Really appreciate that. I got to ask real quick, is this your first time interviewing twins?
It is actually, yes. It is.
Right.
Do you ask that question every time on all
No, I mean, sometimes if it just comes up, but I just figure, man, do people ever interview a lot of twins? But that's cool.
Okay. No, I'm sure it's quite rare.
Awesome. So, Luke, I'll definitely, I'm happy to share our story and take the listeners through kind of like our journey and stuff. And if I want to take it back, I know because this can really, resonate with someone that might be going through this right now or has, but when we were 17 years old, we lost our father in a car accident. So we grew up in a picture perfect family. Our father instilled hard work into us. We were athletes. Again, everything was great. And then 3 nights before Christmas, we got a knock on the door from a California Highway Patrol officer around 2 a.m. That's usually not a good sign. I thought I was just having like a dream or a nightmare. And he told us that he told my mom that my father passed away. So his car hydroplaned and he just passed away instantly in a car wreck. So I remember seeing my mom just screaming on her knees. And I said, I thought I was in a nightmare. But from that night on, 17 years old, we lost our mentor, our role model, our leader, and life changed so much for us. And then 3 months after that, my mom lost her mom due to cancer. So it was like a ton of bricks hit my mom. I felt like we lost a huge part of my mom. So Chris and I really just like went down a dark path in life. We didn't have anybody. We were very angry. We were lost. So what really helped us alleviate that anger and stress was going to the gym and hitting the weights at an early age. That was like our outlet for us. So we got really into that, into the bodybuilding side of things, nutrition. We hired our first mentor, which is Dr. Lane Norton. He's a huge.
I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah. Just great guy, man. And we hired him.
Bro. Yeah.
Yeah, he's funny, but he made a huge splash in our life, and he took us under his wing and he coached us and helped us prep for a bodybuilding show early on. And we learned a lot of his methodologies, and we're like sponges, and we're like, man, if Dr. Lane can have this business and help people all around the world, because this was early on with online coaching, we're like, I think we have enough knowledge and we have enough courage to take action and build a business. So we started our first business back in 2010 called Dynamic Duo Training, helped a lot of people just with their health and fitness coaching. And then the last 4 years, we pivoted to B2B coaching and started our second business, Dynamic Fit Pros, where we help health and fitness coaches create more income, impact, influence, and independence. And we've been working with over 700, coaches, students, and it's been a blessing. And just on top of that, man, we do podcasting and speaking, and wrote a book on how to build your business online too. So that's really the backstory on kind of how it all started.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, that's an amazing story. What a way to start the interview, right? Now, so this is where you guys are now. So let's talk about, and I appreciate you sharing that story.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Let's talk about your business model, right? So let's start with your program. So what do your actual programs look like? Is it multiple programs? Is one main program? What does that look like?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have two programs. We have a level 1 program, and that's just an entry level program for health and fitness coaches that are basically looking to add online training or, do a hybrid model, but basically a beginner's type of like program, right? Yep. And basically it's a 6-week incubator to get them to get to 5K months. And then after that, we have a level 2 program. That's our accelerator program. That's an 8-month program that gets them over 6 figures. And then what we're opening up this year is basically a level 3 program. And that's going to be more of like a VIP program, because I kind of see where things are going, man, to be honest. And it's just me, but I don't know. I feel like I have a pulse on just like where everybody's at with this too. I think people are getting tired of these huge like group coaching like models and stuff like that, because it's just, I don't know, man. We were in it. We tried to chase like, building that $1 million huge group coaching model, hiring coaches under you, having a mastermind, having a conference. It's the same played out model, in my opinion. So Eric and I, took like the last 3 or 4 months and just kind of really reflected back. What do we want going forward? I want more experiential type of like, coaching with my students, more done for you stuff, tangible assets that's going to make them money, not a bunch of information that's behind a course and then group coaching calls and a bunch of Facebook groups and all that crap.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I did an interview with a lady this morning. We spoke about the exact same thing. And because I'm hiring a salesperson at the moment, but I'm still doing my sales calls, and I can just tell, like same as you, getting your pulse on the market. People are really tired with the group models, and in fact, like I do a group program, but one of the things I always stress on those calls is like, you're not coming into like a group with like 50 or 100 or 500 people. It's literally like about 5 to 6 or so show up regularly. At the moment, there's about 15 people in the program, but I'd say 6 show up consistently. But the point is, you get a lot of time with me, and I stress that because I know what it's like to be in a program with like literally. I was actually coaching a program where I was like the head coach, and I left there a year ago because there was 500 women that I ended up coaching. Wow. It was just way too much work. I was just overwhelmed with too much work. And I heard this, I get a lot of those coaches, they come into my program now and I work with them because they're tired of just not getting that level of access to an expert that they actually need to succeed. So it's interesting how it swings, right? Because a few years ago, it was all about group programs. And then it's like, it's slowly swinging back now to had done for you, or more one-on-one is much more desirable. And you actually get better cash flow as well for your business when you you can sell it at a much higher price as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I know a lot of people stress, oh, well, that's the only way to scale. But again, it's like these are customers, lifelong customers. You got to treat them right, and they have to have a good experience. You can't just throw someone into like a group model that has like 30 to 50 people, and just you only have X amount of time for like office hours to get questions answered. It's not a good look overall.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is, sorry, Chris, you go ahead. Good.
I was gonna say, last thing on that, I think like what happens with these group coaching models is a lot of the coaches that kind of do this and put these together and facilitate it is they kind of bank on the crutch of like, oh, this is the community, right? Community. But it's like you're banking on the community to do the coaching for you, man. And it's like, in my opinion, I see the community aspect, but at the same time, it's like, if you're the head coach, man, you got to get your hands dirty and coach some people,
Yeah, absolutely. And what's also interesting is like, and this is kind of what I do as well. Like once like you do a bit more like intense one-on-one or done for you up front, then they're actually better to go into a group program from there, because they actually need less. Now everything's set up for them. It's more just like tweaking from there. So the group model is still good, but that's where I think this is what I do, right? You put them into more of a group. That's where the mastermind, I think, is a better fit, right? On the back end, once everything's set up, because then they actually don't need as much access to you anymore, because they're already at a certain level, which I think is kind of probably a cool model as well, maybe where things are going too.
No, and that's a great point, Luke, because again, that's what we do teach, like, to our health and fitness coaches, right? Is to create your front end program, which is anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks, one-to-one coaching for health and fitness, because they need more hand holding, the accountability, they need to buy trust, they need confidence, get some results. And then after that, then you sell them into a monthly recurring revenue model where it's like, hang on to them for another, 9 to 12 months, and it's cash flow, but it's easy because they don't need you so much. And that could be more of a group model.
Yeah, it's funny, like, because what I do is some of them who I do the done for you, they go into my agency where we just run ads for them. And for those ones, I rarely do, maybe like one call with them like once every 2 months or something, because we've already got everything set up for them and they're just running ads, and that's just like a recurring client. And so that's a great model too, is either like a mastermind or something, as you said, recurring is also really good too. So cool. Okay, so let's talk through how you guys actually grow your business. Like, what's your marketing and sales process look like?
Yeah, I would say, like, one thing that we're really just like doubling down like on this year and going forward is what's called basically borrowing people's traffic. So there's 3 ways to create traffic to your brand, right? The first one is obviously you can do create traffic, which is basically all organic content that you're posting on Facebook, Instagram, social media, all that. The second one is you can buy traffic, which is paid advertisement, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. The third one is borrowing. So I think a lot of people need to understand like how to really get eyeballs from other people's traffic onto your brand. So that means joint ventures, that means collaborations, that means affiliates, right? And what we've been doing lately, which has been working really well, is we've been calling universities that have nutrition and exercise science departments, and even naturopath schools, and asking like, hey, can we present to you guys some free value and some resources on just how that some of your students can take the skill sets you built at the institution and have something as far as building an online brand. And we've been getting in front of audiences, man, left and right, with like 20 to 30 students, giving a tremendous amount of value, then dropping a lead magnet, and we're just getting new eyeballs there for free, basically, man. So something like that.
You're doing those online, like you're presenting online.
On Zoom.
Cool. Yeah. That's very smart. So again, I was having the same conversation with that lady this morning about these, like, so when you're looking for a JV partner, what we were talking about is you want to go with someone that, an example is someone who's like just before they need your service. So for me, that would be like going to a life coaching certification school, right? And once they're certified as a coach, as an example, so you'd be the same, like as a health coach, certification school would be perfect. Once they're certified, obviously, what do they need next? They need clients, right? So that would be a great business, complementary business to present to. So is that kind of like what you look for, of like who's like a complementary, what other businesses your target market hangs out in, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example, like what we did with our level 1 program, since that's basically just helping health and fitness professionals build the business side. So we partnered up with one of our colleagues, and he has a flexible like diet certification, and it's accredited through some of the big like organizations. So we said, hey, do you want to partner up on this, to where we do a promotion, we do a 50-50 split, you promote it to your email list and vice versa. And that worked out really well because we got more sales and got new eyeballs and new customers both ways,
Yeah, cool. And so there's a lot of coaches listening to this that are like under 6 figures. Then maybe they're like, well, I don't have the credibility that you guys do, right? So how can they take that strategy? Because it is a great strategy. JVing is an amazing strategy. Now, do you need to have a big name to be able to do JVs, or how would they? What I'm trying to ask is, how would a coach that is, maybe they're not totally brand new, but they're just like kind of getting established, what would their approach be? Like what value could they bring to get someone like a university or another organization to say, yes, I would happily you can do a workshop? Is it just about like, hey, is the content enough, or do they need to do something else? Or do you guys find that it's just like, hey, we've got great content, or do you have to do anything else to kind of get people interested in saying yes to you being able to present to their audience? Is that question clear?
Yeah. Yeah. I think for like, if like you're going after university, like in our instance, I think that the value is fine. You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
they're already used to like, lecture style. So the more
Yep.
value, more information, I think that works out great. But let's just say if you're starting from scratch, right? I think that your best kind of like value exchange is, promoting their products or promoting their services, whether
Yep.
that's through like a podcast, whether that's like, going live on Instagram, going, live on YouTube or something like that. But I think that's the best value exchange, is getting them in front of like your audience, right? And building the
Yep.
relationship slowly, and just understanding, man, that like if you're starting from scratch and you don't have a huge platform, email list or something like that, it's going to take some time, and that's okay. But everybody kind of has to put their time in their dues, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and I think too, Luke, just real quick, man, just for those coaches that are getting started and they're in the 5-figure mark, I mean, just they really need to double down on like more conversations and content, right? So we go by the 4 C's, and this will be valuable for the listeners. So the 4 C's is the first one's content, right? You got to get good at creating content, really knowing your audience, your messaging, have a good offer. And then the other one is a connection. After you create the content, you want someone to connect, right? So that's like anywhere from like a story view, a comment, a share. That gives you the opportunity to connect with them, right? So then you can start a conversation, which is the next C, right? Conversate with them over DM and really figure out their pain points and how you can best help and serve them. And the
Yep.
last C is a conversion, right? You want to move those conversations to a Zoom call or phone call and sell them into your guys' program. So I think they need to really focus on just more connections, more conversations.
Yeah, it's funny. Like just before this call, I had finished my group coaching call, and one of the coaches in there is really brand new. Like she's just been certified as a coach, basically. And so she doesn't like. So what I said to her, look, before you set up any marketing system, you need to have some conversations with your market, because you don't know your market very well. So
Yep.
don't like, set up a funnel or anything like that. Don't run ads. Literally just go find your target market and get them on the phone, not in terms of like trying to convert them, but just to have a conversation like, hey, here's who I'm trying to help. Can someone get on the phone with me? I'm just trying to do research of my market, and start those conversations. And it's really valuable. And a lot of those people will actually end up, even though there's no agenda there for them to become a client, they will often end up becoming clients just because you were open and honest and transparent about what you're trying to do. But yeah,
100%.
absolutely. I think just having those conversations in the beginning, making those connections, gives you so much valuable knowledge and research about your market and what they're looking for in terms of content. And it feels like it's a slower process, but actually speeds up your results.
Yeah, I agree.
It can feel tedious, but it's so valuable. So yeah, great tip. Okay,
Yep.
so you'll so you kind of do JVs now. Do you do any like paid advertising or anything like that, or is that's just what you're focusing on?
Yeah, we were kind of just like toying around with that a little bit. Just a simple kind of ad that goes to like, a lead form, and, gives somebody a lead magnet, builds your email list, your Facebook group, your SMS, all that, works great. But the thing is with that, again, it takes a little bit longer. And again, like you're looking for the low hanging fruit on that too. And it's just kind of like a volume game with that, but what I really want to do going forward is just really, having more conversations. So even hiring like maybe a team of setters and starting more conversations on Facebook and Instagram, because I think it's a lot faster with that. You're just looking for people that are the now buyers. You can have lead magnets to offer them, circle back with them in 5 days, have a conversation, still get them into your funnel, all that.
Yeah, funny you mentioned that. I'm in the process of hiring a setter like this week. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys know who Cole Gordon is, but he does like sales recruiting and stuff. So anyway, I love the topic of setters, because a lot of coaches don't know what a setter is. So let's dive into that, because just for some context, actually, I'll let you guys explain what is a setter.
Yeah. So basically, like think about the analogy, right? Like if you're playing volleyball, right? So if you have somebody right there in the front that sets it up for the spike. So the spike is the phone call, right? So what these setters are doing is basically getting people an appointment by chat, basically, when you look at it like that, right? And there's two kind of setters, in my opinion, that I've like dealt with. So the first one is obviously the person that can spark conversations for you on Instagram and Facebook based off of like, hand raises, likes, comments, story views. Then you take over the conversation. So that buys back a lot of your time right there. The second one is full setter, to where it's like they're doing the whole thing from start to scratch, getting the appointment booked, and then you just show up on the sales call and take the call.
Yeah. Yes. In other words, basically they book appointments for you based on your existing leads, right?
Yep.
So you need to be generating some type of, need to have some type of lead generation, which a simple one is just you advertise a lead magnet, right? So what I'm doing with my setter is when they opt in for my lead magnet, I ask for their phone number. So they have to give me their phone number to get the lead magnet. And then on the thank you page, I invite them to the Facebook group, which then there's some more hand raisers inside the Facebook group to get people, the buy now kind of people.
Yep.
And then the setter basically will either outbound the lead magnet leads. That's kind of like they're probably like the lowest quality of that they'll be speaking to. But then when they join the Facebook group, there's a question that says something like, hey, we've got a program that can help you get to 20 appointments per month within 90 days. Or your money back plus ad spend. Leave your mobile number below if you want to know more information, or we'll send you more information. So they leave their mobile, the setter calls those people, right? So the way that I'm using a setter is with outbound calls, but yeah, you can do outbound calling, or you can do as DMs in Facebook groups as an example, or DMs on Instagram. But the point is they do a lot of the heavy lifting, a lot of that work for you, and you just show up to the call. So they're so, like, if you've got some type of lead generation going, you're losing a lot of money if you don't have a setter. I would say that's what I've realized by not having one for all these years.
Yeah,
a lot of
on that topic too, Luke, like what you mentioned about outbound calling as well too. Eric actually just started doing that yesterday to our list, because we built up an SMS list that we paid for, man, with those lead magnets for about a year or 2,000 contacts. And sometimes they don't sit there and respond back to SMS broadcasts. So we're like, hey, like, what are we doing? Like, we pay for this list. We need to find people. So Eric started calling them, right? And got a couple of people to answer, and that starts a conversation. And if that goes well, later on, we can hire, an outbound call center or something like that,
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, one tip on the, what I found is with the outbounding, ideally you want to get to that lead as soon as possible, right? So if they're a lead, like they opted in for a lead magnet, like a free guide, you don't want to wait like 6 months to give them a call, right? So you want to ideally, I think even Harvard did a study on this. It's like, if you like, the closer you get to when, like, the moment that they opt in, the better the response. And because they're in that more emotional state, right? So they're more likely to sign up to your program than if you wait like even a few weeks.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So what strategy? So you guys are going to be doing outbounding with your setters as well. Is that right? You're kind of doing your initial KPIs at the moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's what, just for those listening in, part of the hiring a setter that I had to do for my company is I actually had to do the calls as well, just to get the numbers, just to understand, okay, what's the process? And also, let's say you do 100 calls, how many of those should book into an appointment? Because once you know your numbers, then if you bring on a setter, you'll know if they're any good or not, right? So let's say 10% of, say if you do 100 calls, when I say 100, like most people don't actually pick up. So that includes people that don't pick up. So you do 100 dials, whatever it is, 20% pick up. Out of those, a certain percentage will book into an appointment. So usually that's about 10%. Again, depends on the market. But the point is, once you set your KPI, now when you bring on a setter, as I said, you know the numbers that they should be hitting. And if they're not, you know that they're probably not that good and that you should get someone else. So that's a really important part of the setting process. Now, I'm curious, like, because there's different ways to actually outbound people and give them a reason why that you're calling. So what's the reason? Because people, obviously, they're not expecting your call. So what do you guys say on that initial conversation?
Yeah, that's the tricky part, is when you're just calling. I mean, to me, I'm just going to be very genuine to myself. I say, hey, this is Coach Eric from Dynamic Fit Pros. I just wanted to say hello. How you doing today? And I saw that you recently opted into one of our, freebies or whatever it was. And, just wanted to say thank you for being a part of our community. And, and just how's your fitness business going? Like, are you doing in-person training, online? And just see where the conversation goes there. Just very genuine.
Okay, interesting. And what has your response been like with that type of opening? And you just started,
I haven't gotten enough people to answer, but the ones that answer are pretty open to it. They're kind of thrown off at first, or like who the heck is this? But then once I put them at ease, and I'm just not really coming off as like salesy or threatening, they're more open to having at least a dialogue.
That's cool. Yeah, that's interesting. But as I said, most people won't answer the phone. So I'd say probably like for me, it's about between 20 to 30%, depending on the week, will actually answer. I prefer calling than texting or even DMing. I get a way better response just picking up the phone and calling. If I I do double dials, right? If I call, if they don't pick up, I'll call back. And if they don't, then I'll do that again, like the next day. If they still don't pick up, then I will text as a final thing. But what I found is most people don't reply to the text, or
Yeah.
Or even an email. So
Yeah.
that's why
You don't
calling
voicemail or anything?
I used to, and I found that was a waste of time as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, for everyone listening, just getting on the phone and calling is the best, is will get you the best response. But obviously if they don't pick up after a couple of times doing that, then last resort, just do a quick text.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've noticed that too. A lot of people do not answer the phone.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I found the same response in terms of like, people are usually pretty open to it. The way that so I was having issues with my emails recently of like Gmail blocking, like just blocking my email address for some people. It's not even going to spam, it's just not even going to them. So the way that I called them was like, hey, this is Luke. I saw that you recently opted in for my lead magnet, but I say it as like a question. I say, you recently opted in for my 9 email offers, and I ask it as a question, like that tonality. And they're like, oh yeah, I did that. I said, well, has that just curious, has that gone to your did that actually come through to your inbox? Because I've been having issues, like genuinely having issues with my deliverability. And then they're like, and now they feel like they're kind of like helping, because they are, and I'm actually genuinely want to know. And if it does go to the spam, then I ask them to drag it in, right? And I also ask them to click on the link as well, because it actually helps me. And I'm like, okay, thanks for that. I really appreciate it. Well, now that that's really helped me. Like, what can I do for you? Like, I've got some more trainings that I could send you that might be of help, like to get you some more clients, because I know they always want more clients. That's why they opted in. And they're like, absolutely. So then what I do from there is I just say, okay, you're selling coaching? Yep. Okay, cool. So and this is when I just get into the discovery part of the sales process, right? Like, what are you selling? What's your price point? What's your packages? And then based on that, I say, yeah, I've got some trainings that I can send you. And you know what, based on what we've discussed, there are some frameworks that I've been helping other coaches, whatever it is, the health market, life coaching, that I'm helping them get their business to 20, 30K a month and beyond. If you're, I'm more than happy to share those with you if you're open to it as well. And they always say yes. So I say, okay, well, I've got another call coming up now. What's your, what time do you have available tomorrow, the day after? And I said, do you have 3 p.m. or 5 p.m.? And so that's how I get them booked in. So pretty straightforward. Good. And it's just in a non-salesy way. And if they don't want the frameworks, and I have had some people say, yeah, no, I'd rather just check out your lead magnet first. I said, okay, that's all good.
Yeah, so it's a good angle.
Yeah, that's how I approach it.
Yeah, I like what you said though. Kind of, the deliverability thing. I like that though, because that could be an issue, to where they might not get the lead magnet.
Right. And a lot of people, like if you're running paid ads, it will be an issue. Like sometimes it will go into the spam. So I think that's a good way of, and then you frame it like, oh, you've been really helpful to me. How can I help you? Do you want more free trainings? Which is kind of where you wanted the conversation to go anyway. So but the point is, you're still leading with value, right? I'm still going to send them those trainings, if they want them. And if they don't want to get on the second call, they don't have to, So I always lead with value and let them kind of decide whether they want that value or not.
Yeah. That's solid.
Yeah. So that's kind of my approach. But what I would say for me with coaches, I don't know about you guys, you can maybe speak to this. I don't get my clients to do outbounding right away. I think that's for a certain level of coach. Like once you've got your inbound working, like your inbound appointments, people actually booking on your calendar and your offer is kind of working, then you can go to more outbounding to speed things up, which can happen quite quickly. But I just like to, for my clients, I like to focus them on the inbound first. I don't know what your approach is, if it's different to that at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like that too. I'm big on just like having our students and clients just have like a set number of chats that they're having daily, just at least at least 10 per day. Just, go once you understand who your niche is, where they're hanging out, go to different accounts, go to different hashtags, but go engage with these people genuinely. Like, go like their video, their picture, leave a nice comment that you actually read it or listened, and then go maybe send them a DM just saying, hey, thank you for, that piece of content on XYZ. It really resonated with me, and just let the conversation marinate. You're not coming off salesy, you're not pitching anything. It's just having a conversation. I think if you do at least 10 of those per day and they compound over the days and weeks, I mean, you have a high chance of signing up one client per week. Yeah, absolutely.
And so you're for like, say, a health coach under 6 figures, you get them to start with like just DMing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's part of it for sure. Part of it. Okay. Yeah.
And how do you get them to identify their dream clients?
Yeah. So that's where we take them through like our entire framework of just like really creating their avatar and niche and just really understanding like the psychographics, right? Like who is this perfect future client? Like where do they hang out? What's their interests? Who do the people that they follow? All those things that go into it. And it's just, that's kind of their job to go figure it out and just really kind of scout people, profile people, and just, again, just start conversations on top of everything else.
So an example, like I'm just thinking out loud, do you like, because obviously the person has to want to lose weight, right? Generally, if they're like a weight loss coach, as an example.
Yeah.
So would a strategy be like, okay, here are all the weight loss coaches, like a Paige Hathaway or a Lane Norton, as an example. You could go through their followers, right? I don't know if you can actually see a list of their followers, but is that like, or you can see their comments, right? So is that an example of how you would identify, like, okay, all the people commenting on Lane's post here, you could DM them? Is that like what you mean by starting a conversation, or is there
absolutely
you get even more granular than that?
Yep. That's one way to do it. That's one way to do it. Or even just going into like Facebook groups, right? Like let's say someone's looking like maybe their avatar is like, stay-at-home moms. There's tons of stay-at-home mom Facebook groups, and they could go join a group, add value to the group, and then start conversations.
Or what they could do too is add those moms as friends, and then once they accept like friend requests, they can send them a friendly DM, like nice connecting with you, XYZ. It doesn't have to be like, hey, here's a lead magnet, or hey, here's what I do. Just let the conversation flow and just see how they respond to it, and just go from there.
Yeah, because I'm a big believer in Luke, like when you do this and start conversations, like people are going to go scout your profile. It's almost like human nature to go stalk your Instagram, your Facebook. And if your stuff's good, like if your content's on point and it's good, it's like, man, the chance of them hitting that follow button is pretty high.
Yeah. It's funny, like, because I run cold ads, right? And I find that a lot of the people that I speak to, they've never heard of me before, but when they get to the sales call with me after they've spoken to Jim, who's my setter, like they would have, like, between the time they've had that call and me, they've had maybe 2 or 3 days to check me out, and they've gone to my website, they'll listen to like a few of my podcast episodes, they've read some of my emails, and so they, as you just said, they really do research you before the calls, which is really helpful for warming up that prospect, particularly with paid advertising.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. And so in order for like a coach, like a health coach or any coach, for not, because a big objection that I know with coaches doing that type of strategy is not wasting their time, right? They want to know that the conversations that they have have a good chance of converting into an appointment and then a sale. So what you said a second ago in terms of getting clear on their ideal client, I'm sure that would be a key part of them ensuring that they don't waste their time, right? So getting very clear on where their clients hang out. Is there anything else that you do, either through the conversation, like what to say, or the clarity part with ideal client, that ensures that the coach has a good chance of like converting this organic strategy and then they're not wasting their time? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm actually glad you asked that. So there's this concept we teach to our students. It's called SPIN. So like SPIN. So basically, when you're having a chat with somebody, the S stands for situation, right? So when you have that first initial conversation and dialogue, what's their current situation, right? So if it's a health and fitness coach, the person you're speaking to, what's their current situation in their health and fitness journey, or what are they currently doing within exercise or nutrition? That's the situation. Then the P is the problem or the pain. So ask a question around like that pain or that problem, like, okay, well, your situation, you're struggling with nutrition. Okay, what is it exactly you're struggling with nutrition? And they're going to start digging into the pain, right? The more they respond, like the lengthier text, the more they're interested, which comes into the I, which means implication. So that means that like they're implicating that like, hey, they are interested. They want to keep this dialogue going because the pain is so like strong that they want to solve it. Then that leads to the N, which is next. So the next is basically, hey, would you like to hop on a 10-minute like Facebook call or 10-minute Instagram call or WhatsApp call just to see if like we're a good fit or how I could help you out?
Yeah. Interesting. It's kind of like, I think Ryan Levesque has that with his ask method, right? When he you take people through the questionnaire, and if they just give like a one-word response, it's like it's probably not the best information about your market, but it's the people that like write like an essay.
Exactly.
They're the most motivated, right? When they're right. So I can tell when someone replies back to my emails if it's just like a one word, like, what do you need help with? And it's like clients. Like some people literally say just like clients. The guy said that, like, just clients, need more clients. And then other people are just like give you like this, like they're almost their life story, which is it's funny, and you can tell obviously who's probably going to be more motivated to invest in your program, right? Because if they're in pain, they're going to, a lot of pain. They will often, give you the whole situation as you just said, or if you ask maybe one or two extra questions, then when they feel a bit more comfortable, then they give you that whole dialogue, right? And that's what you're looking for a lot of the time. So
and also too, last little hack is like, man, like just be different, like with those convos, right? A 3-to-1 ratio, three like text to like one audio or video reply. You know what I mean? Because not a lot of people will do that. And if you do an audio or video reply to somebody, you just stop in the crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a Loom. I use Loom videos all the time.
No, not even that. Yeah, you could do a Loom, but I can just even pop it up on your your
messenger. True. Yeah.
Audio, just be different,
Can you do like short videos in a Facebook Messenger chat?
You can.
Yeah, you can.
I didn't know that.
20 seconds. Yeah.
Dude, that would be that would be awesome. Yeah. That's such a good tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then they see you're a real person. I mean, they know you're a real person, but then they kind of see your face, right? And it takes a relationship to a different level when they can see and hear you.
Yeah,
correct.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. Love that. Okay, so before we go, I've got one more question. Is there anything that we haven't, because I know you guys are just like a wealth of knowledge. Any final tips that you want to share that we haven't discussed? And then I'll ask my final question.
Yeah, I'll go ahead, man. I think too, like this is something like I think all coaches and just content creators really need to grasp is just you got to reframe your mind to look at this as business media, not social media. And you're the content producer, not the consumer. And what that means is, again, just like get in and get out with what you're doing on social media. Don't go down rabbit holes. Don't go scrolling and consuming and wasting a bunch of time. Like get in there, post valuable stuff, have conversations, and again, treat it as a business. You can even have active conversations, and there's like on Instagram, there's a primary folder and a general folder. Move the active chats for potential people into general folders, and then the primary folders, just keep those open chats for people just commenting on stuff. But again, man, I think there's just too many people just overthink it too much and they put too much damn emotion into it. It's just like, get over yourself, and get over people ghosting you and not giving a shit. It's like, you're not going to please everybody. It's like, you're looking for the 1 to 2 people that are going to take action, and not everyone's going to be your damn fit. So it's just, get it over yourself, put out content, go help people, and just, man, take all the bullshit emotion out of it.
Yeah. That's good advice.
Yeah. And I think the last thing for me, Luke, is just like with content creation and getting attention, because that's basically the kind of economy we're in right now, is like, how do I get more attention on me, the brand, with content? If you remember this acronym SIRVE, SIRVEE. So the S is basically in your content, make sure it's strategic, right? Don't just plan and just post a bunch of stuff. Make sure it's strategic. The I is intentional. Who is it speaking to? That specific avatar or niche. The R is make sure it's relatable. Talk about personal stuff, your story, relate with people. The V is value. There's got to be some sort of value exchange within your content you're putting out there to make people think differently or, change a behavior. One of the other E's is basically make it educational, right? The last E is make it entertaining, right? Don't be a robot. You don't have to be somebody you're not. Keep it real and authentic, but make it a little bit entertaining as well too.
Yeah, I love that. Good advice. All right, my final question is this. You guys are standing on the top of a gigantic mountain. There's 1,000 coaches, health coaches, whatever below, and you can only shout to them like one thing at the top of this mountain in order for them to be successful. What is that one thing?
I would say, man, just continue to enhance your discipline. I think discipline is the key to so many different things. It leads to basically temperance, which is self-control. If you can control your mind, your emotions, your attitude, your thoughts, I mean, that leads into so many different things as far as just being a better entrepreneur, being a better person, being a better coach. So just keep working on your discipline muscles.
Very cool.
It's a good question. No, I like Chris's too, but I would just say, man, just keep building that resiliency, that relentlessness. Just life in general, man, is always going to throw us adverse situations. Some of us worse than others, but please don't ever play the victim role. Nobody cares. It's just, again, just build up the resiliency, keep pushing forward, just burst through different, adverse situations. And I promise you, man, if you play the long game in this and really just buy into that, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's what I would say. It's like if you treat it like your actual career, it's the coaches that kind of like, oh, if this doesn't work out, I'll just get a full-time job. If you have that kind of like 1 foot out already, then you're probably going to give up. But if you just see this as your career, then yeah, as I said, you'll push through. Because there will be challenges. That's why I love that advice. And the funny thing is, whenever I ask that question, I don't think I've had one yet where like an interviewee has said some specific, you do this strategy, right? It's always kind of a mindset type a piece of advice. And it goes to show that the top level coaches, they know that mindset, your attitude, your approach, discipline, etc., is really the key to, you will get to where you want to go as long as you have that attitude. I think that's a great piece of advice.
Attitude's key, man. Your thoughts, your attitudes, and actions, like 3 things you can control every single day.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, cool. So where can the coaches listening to go to learn more about you guys and your beautiful eyebrows?
Yeah, appreciate that, Luke. The best place, man, is Instagram. Honestly, like we're very active on there, and even Facebook at Chris and Eric Martinez. Then check out our podcast. It's called the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. Yeah, those are the 2 places.
Cool. Awesome. Well, once again, thanks for giving up your time and being on the Six Figure Coaches show. It's been an amazing interview. Lots of gold nuggets. I knew after reading your guys' bio that it would have a great conversation. I wasn't prepared for the eyebrow part, but it definitely enhanced the interview, I think. So
it did, man. Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
no worries. Pleasure having you guys on. So with that being said, there's another episode wrapped up for the Six Figure Coaches show. Remember, we premiere every single week inside the Hermit Hole. You can go to thehermithole.com, and then also check out Chris and Eric on Instagram and their Facebook and their podcast as well to learn more about how to grow your coaching business. So with that being said, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next